So here we are again. I'm Ron Dzinski, and I've introduced myself to quite a few of you already on the internet, on our blog site. But now this is video, so in case you don't know, I am the owner and operator of a site that's called Beyond PTSD. So anyway, this is the video side, and here comes my dog. I wasn't prepared to see here. He came down. But in any event, if he happens to pop up, his name is Bo. He's always wants to know what's going on. Well, in any event, PTSD, terrible, terrible thing. We all have it. We're all experiencing it, and now I'm trying to get you involved. So in case you don't know, you usually don't get PTSD with one experience. It's usually something that develops over time, but it could also happen on one experience. But there's other ways to get PTSD besides the military, which is when I first started was the reason I had it, and assuming other people had it that way too. I'd never heard of it being something else. But there's lots of ways to get it, and so I was going to take time on each one of these things, but today's going to be all about bullying. I personally have only been bullied one time. It was not a long-term thing. It was with a boy that lived across the street from me. We were the same age, but he was a huge boy. He was about a good 4 or 5 inches taller than me and much heavier than me. I was this little skinny kid from the streets of Camden, New Jersey. But this kid terrorized everybody in our neighborhood, whose name was Sandy. And Sandy was just a tough kid. He would I recall seeing him take a cat and swing him by his tail and throw him down our sewer. I've seen him hit kids with a gun over their head. I've seen him do all kinds of things, and I was terrified of him, but he was a playmate. He was my across the street neighbor, and we were the same age. We went to grammar school together all throughout the grammar school until he moved away, but he was a tough kid in the neighborhood because he was so much bigger, and he just liked to lord it over. So my father knew that I was afraid of him and knew that I had to stand up to him one day. Now, I'm not saying that this is the answer to everybody, because it is certainly not. But for me, it was a liberation. But I remember the fear every time I'd with him that he would do something that would just, explode in front of us. And I would be the blunt of that explosion. And because I was such a little tiny guy, I was so afraid. So anyway, my father decided that he was going to give me some courage. And the way he did it was he bought me something that was called the Joe Palooka punching bag. And he said, this is the way you learn how to fight. So even though the streets of New Jersey were pretty tough streets, I was not really a guy that was going out of his way to look to fight when I was growing up. And this was now when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old or something. So in any event, I would go down every night and I would punch in this punching bag. And the way it would work is there'd be like a platform, and out of the platform was a little kind of a flexible thing with a little punching bag on the top. And I would sit there and I would do my punching and really thought this was the answer. But I was always afraid to stand up for myself with this boy. So for whatever reason, I don't know how many months went by with this terror and this fear in my heart. Every day was a day of fear. And then one day he had done something, I don't know what it was. I remember even to this day, and this is, 65 or 70 years ago or whatever it is. I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to punch this kid right in the nose. So I took whatever I was going to take, and I knew it was going to be problems, but I was willing to take that risk. I hauled off and punched him, and I punched him right in his eye. And he stood there with his hand on his face, with an astonished look on his face, went home crying. And from that point, he never, ever terrorized me again. It was a liberation feeling. So obviously that worked for me. But for some people, they just don't have the occasion to find that release. All they are is knowing that they have terror, and this could happen and explode anytime in their face, don't know what to do about it. I had read an article, which I don't have with me because I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to talk about today, but I had read an article, and I'm going to look it up and bring it in. I believe the fellow's name was Kurzweil or something. He worked for one of the major newspapers. And what he did is 40 years later, it was sort of like, where is my bully 40 years, whatever the headline was. But this man for 40 years working for the newspaper, decided one day he was going to try to get his revenge, and his revenge was to go back and see what this guy, how he turned out. So I'm going to look it up and I'm going to bring it and I'm going to speak about it sometime this week, whether it be tomorrow or whenever. But I'm going to find it and I'm going to bring it in because it'll give you some idea that bullying can be a terrible, terrible experience and can last forever. So that was pretty much it. I promised everybody I was going to try to keep it as close to 5 minutes as possible. But anyway, that was my bullying experience, and I know that didn't give me the PTSD. But it was my only experience with it, and I'm glad that other people have pointed out to me that bullying can be a major cause of PTSD, and I'm very happy to bring it to other people's attention too. I want to hear from you. I'm absolutely anxious to hear questions you might have, stories you might have for me. If it's something that's worthwhile, I'll talk about it right here on screen and let others know what your situation was, how you dealt with it, how it affected your life, anything like that. If it has to do with bullying and you'd like to get it off your chest or at least to start to air it out and maybe give you some relief, this might be the place to do it. I'm here. I'd like to hear about your sharing. I want to hear about your comments. I want to hear your likes, your dislikes, so that we can make this something that's responsive to your needs and your wants. This is not only my site to hear me talk. This is about you too. And hopefully you've got your pad and the paper. Remember number 23, we're all in this together. And we hope to see you again at the next filming, whenever that might be. I'll talk to you soon and look forward to hearing more about the bullying. All right, bye.